and I call her sister the P. Diddy of hair because she was the hit maker. She had
I don't know if we should call her the P. Diddy.
Well,
the Diddy.
That is so bad.
Yeah. We'll go with it.
For all that. Yeah, you're so right. So, she would, allegedly.
Millie makes songs, hey, I made this one. Jerry builds bikes and they go real fast. They're mental defectives.
Welcome to the Mental Defectives Podcast, a show where we interview interesting individuals with a focus on addiction and mental health. I'm your host, Milligram. That's Millie if you know me, Mr. Graham if you owe me. Joined, as always, by the Harvey Den of Harleys, the gearhead guru with a heart of gold. It's Mr. Jerry with a G.
Glad to be here.
And today, we have a very special guest. He is a hairstylist, a father, a sober man. He'll style your hair, then steal your man. He's always dressed to impress. This man constantly in a state of flex. Every fit is on point. It's Mr. Jon Stylez.
Thanks, Matt. I'm glad I put some thought into what I was going to wear today. I was like, I have to figure this thing out because I've known Matt for some time. And he's always like, what are you wearing? What is that? I'm like, yeah.
Every time with the flex. And today, the incredibly subtle flex. I love the chain of the scissors.
Oh, yeah.
That's fucking fire.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That was a birthday gift.
I love it. I
Heck
love
yeah.
it. So, John, where are you from?
Columbus, Ohio. Born
Okay.
and raised
Okay.
all my life.
Yeah.
Except for when I was on my, tours.
A tour.
The tours.
Okay,
Yeah.
I want to get into
What's
that.
up with the tours?
What are the tours?
Jacksonville, Florida. Geographical cure. Didn't work. Progressed immensely.
don't
New
have
York City.
Especially in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, Florida's not the place
No,
to go to
it's
try and...
No,
Yeah.
no, I don't. But the thing about it is, I don't think I was trying to get sober. I was trying to get better. And I never had thought about getting sober. I thought about getting better. I just wanted to get better because Columbus was definitely the problem. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So then I moved to New York, did hair there, and partied a lot in the Village, and that didn't work out. So yeah, a few places.
So when did you start drinking?
I started drinking probably when I was about 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, I had to think back to it.
Hitting the hard apple cider?
No, my mom would throw card parties. So my mom had quit drinking, and she would have her brothers and sisters over, and there would be a, folding table set up type deal, maybe 3-4 tables. And I was cute and adorable, just like I am today, little pint-sized guy. And they would let me sit on their lap, and I get to play cards. And so while I was playing cards with them, I probably would pick up their cup. And I can honestly tell you, sometimes I remember just putting my hand up to the table and just grabbing the beer and just drinking what was there. I don't know if that's why I love that type of atmosphere, because I ended up being a bar drinker. I love to play cards in the bar. I love smoke-filled rooms. It was something about the music playing and people being there and just being social like that. I don't know if that's what grabbed me, to it, but that was happening maybe once a week, every Saturday night. And then I would put on my little Michael Jackson outfit sometimes, perform for them, and, just enjoying myself. But I can't remember picking up those cups and picking up the cans of beer and having a sip. And no one really said anything about it.
Sure.
Did you have the red... Are we talking, what era of Michael Jackson? Do we have the red leather jacket?
We're talking about the red leather
Oh,
jacket.
Thriller.
Yes, I was born in
Yes.
79, so the 80s hit, about 85, 86.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hell
I was ready.
You probably got a
I had-
mean spades hand.
Yes, I progressed to bid whiz. During the end of my drinking career, I started hanging out with the older people at this local bar called the CNS, and I had a beauty salon 2 doors down from there.
Nice.
And I thought I loved to play the jukebox, and the food was good. And I thought that was why I kept going in there. The drinks just happened to...
They just
happened to be there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm going to go play a few songs on the jukebox
Yeah.
and get me something to eat. And the drinks were just like the side dish. I never really thought they were what I was after. Maybe I did, but at that time I had sold myself on, I'm going to get something to eat and listen to music,
Yeah.
and then play cards with the older people. They taught me how to play.
It's so funny, like how like the bullshit we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
In active addiction and drink, like that's like obviously it's the drinking. Like
Yeah.
you can go anywhere
Right.
for music and
Absolutely.
food. Like come on.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so that's how I would get myself to go there every day, in between clients, with clients. And I think back to that, and I think like, how did they allow me to leave out of that place and go back? I mean, literally 2 buildings down, we would walk back to the salon and I would do their hair. And we would play music, probably smoke a little pot, you know what I mean? And, you know, just kept rolling. And I would think like, I would never trust me or anyone else.
I wouldn't trust anyone.
No, you got scissors, right?
Yeah, you got
Exactly.
scissors near my eyes and ears.
Absolutely
like,
not.
Exactly, and I thank God I'd never injured anyone that I know of.
I feel like you would know pretty instantly.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
chop someone's
yeah.
ear
Oh my
off.
God.
Yeah, I might have cut him a little.
Yeah.
It might have been a little lopsided, but that was the thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? I could always make anything sell.
Layers.
anything.
Layers.
Absolutely.
But if they're also drinking, they're not going to notice
They-
either. They
Right,
get a drink,
right.
like, oh, thanks, y'all.
They
It's fucking
never
great.
complained at all. You know,
Amazing.
but I just thinking back on that, you know, and I don't even see many stylists that do that. Like looking around in my beauty salon, you know, there's like not one person that comes in there and drinking and doing what I did. So it wasn't normal at all.
I was gonna say, is that like,
Yeah.
is that like a thing? Like with hairstylists, do a lot of hairstylists party?
I don't think they party, but I think that they hang out. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Now, like, they'll do events. So if there's something going on and a reason for you to be there, you know, you show up for that because you can
Sure.
promote yourself and your brand and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But they're not going 7 days a week and hitting about 7 bars a night.
Right.
You know what I mean? The
Right,
promotion's
right.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this, you would say the salon is different from the barber shop, because like I've been to some like hood ass barber shops and the dude's like smoking a blunt while like lining me up, or they stop in the middle of the haircut like, oh, I'm gonna take a
Right.
phone call, and then you wait 20 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, back in the day, maybe, but in today, I don't see it as much. Maybe because I just changed the crowd of people, but it probably does still happen.
might
Sure,
be.
that
You
could
know what I
be
mean?
it.
I'm sure it
yeah.
does.
Right.
I'm sure it does, but that was what my salon kind of looked like. I had a old school salon that I worked in where we even had ashtrays in the hair dryers.
Oh,
I
shit.
loved it.
That's
My clients
awesome.
loved it. It was I was like, we're not getting rid of these dryers. When I got the shop, I was like, we're keeping these. They were right in the chair. So as they're drying,
You could
smoke
Oh,
away.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
yeah.
And you know, so
Yeah.
I remember those days.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so start, first drinks at 5, taking sips. Where do we go from there?
Well, my first drunk was at 16.
Got it.
Birthday party. My older sisters. I'm come from a family of 10. I'm the youngest. My mom was Catholic. My dad was an admitted alcoholic, and my mom was too. And they drank together. And when my mom quit drinking, he didn't quit drinking, so he had to go.
Yeah.
So here it is. It's 9 of us. I'm the youngest, and I pretty much was a master manipulator. I would get my brothers and sisters to do whatever I want because, number one, I'm the baby. And my mom had me at 41, which she called it the change of life baby. At that time, I always thought the change of life baby meant I changed my mom's life, of course, because I'm fabulous. And she quit drinking.
And it's all
Everything
about-
got
it's
better.
all about me, right?
But her life got better because I'm around. And she kind of would accredit me to that. I don't know why. But she was like, that's my baby. And, she didn't drink anymore and her life did get better.
Right.
And so I didn't know, it was the fact that she quit drinking, but I took credit for that. I'm the change of life baby. I'm mommy's baby. And whatever I say went. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
say you might be watching, Bill Cosby show. If I wanted to turn on He-Man and change the channel, and even though there's like 3 other TVs, in the house, I'm like, I want to watch this one. They're like, no, watch your TV. I'm like, well, I'm calling mommy. That magic word. They're like, just take it. Because if I called my mom and had to stop her from doing what she was doing, there was going to be trouble.
Somebody was going to
Yeah,
get
hell
it.
to pay.
Yep.
Yeah, and she was and I can say this because I've been through treatment, what you would call a dry drunk. She didn't have recovery, but she went to church. she was angry because she couldn't drink, she would tell you that I had to give up everything and stop, all because of you. I made these sacrifices. Right. So, it also made us feel bad. Sure. You know what I'm saying? Sure. And I didn't realize that being raised in a house with untreated alcoholism, you get more of the isms even before you would drink. So I knew how to, lie, cheat, and steal because I didn't want her to be upset at me. So a lot of times I would, manipulate my brothers and sisters and say, if you don't tell mommy that you did this, I'm going to tell her that you did this. And it would be way worse than what I did. I would watch them and listen to their conversations. Ooh. And then I would just, tell them like, oh, like one time I told my sister got pregnant. Now, of course, my mom was going to find out. Right. But while the iron was hot, I was striking. Damn. I was like, do you want her to find out today? You know what I'm saying? Like, so that means that I'm going to get to go everywhere with you. You're going to pay my way. You're going to take me to the movies on your dates. I've ruined so many of my brothers and sisters' dates. It would be pathetic. And I would wonder why, as I gotten older, when I got the treatment, I was like, I feel like my siblings don't like me. And my counselor was like, well, after you tell me all this stuff you did they ever tell you that? I'm like, no, it's just, I just feel like there's something there. And as I would tell him the things that I would do, I would steal stuff from my mom. They would get whippings for it. I mean, severe punishment. And I would never break. I never had that thing like, okay, mom, it was me. I would sit there. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And
what a cock block too, though.
Oh, God.
For real, hey, babe, look, I'm definitely. We're gonna go to the dinner and the movie and stuff. My little brother has to come because he's blackmailing me.
Yeah, right.
I would go to the skating rink and be asleep at the skating rink when my brother's taking me there. I would go to football games. I mean, I was doing everything. And when they moved out on their own, they would throw these parties. And my mom didn't like the drinking, so they were big, heavy weed smokers. A lot of weed smoking, and I, knew my sister's boyfriend sold weed. Yeah. So I started manipulating her into giving it to me. And, what I didn't steal from her, I'm like, hey, you better, let me have some of that because I'm going to tell mommy that, that dude's over here selling weed. She's going to come over here. And my mom had that type of fear that even though my sister was grown in her own house, if my mom came over there and found out that dude was leaving, you might be leaving. And so that's how I got the weed. And I think that started like at 14 years old. I smoked my first joint and it felt like the room shifted for me. My shoulders got relaxed, my eyes got low, and I stopped caring about what people think. I'll tell you that, I tell this part. My counselor in treatment said, John, you need to go back to the day that you stopped loving yourself. And I told my counselor, I said, I'm not in treatment because I didn't love myself. I've always been fabulous. Everybody loves John. Like, that's not why I'm here. You don't know me. I said, I'm here because I can't stop smoking dope and I can't stop drinking. You know what I'm saying? And he said, but John, he said a person that, loved themselves wouldn't have hid themselves for 25 years. And so that was like glass shattering for me. Because what you'll find out that I was 25 years old. I was a gay man who married a woman. And I lived that life all the way up until my mom got sick and passed away. And so, I wanted to please my mother. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to hell. I wanted to do all the right things. But at the end of the day, I didn't have the self-esteem to say, hey, I like boys. You know what I'm saying? And what I know is that there was a little girl at 9 years old who I had took a couple things from my mom, gave her jewelry. Now I'm leading up to the big ass like, hey, Stephanie, will you be my girlfriend? And she's like, no, John. And I'm like, why? And she's like, because they're saying you're gay. Now at 9 years old, there's no way I'm gay. I'm like, I'm not gay. No one's in my family's gay. My mom's, would kill me. There's no way. And so she's like, well, I can't be your girlfriend. So I went home to my middle sister who was like the brainiac, and I asked my sister Carolyn, I'll never forget, I say, hey Carolyn, what does gay mean? And she said, John, if you're a man and you like men, or you're a boy and think you're a girl, then you're gay. And in my 9-year-old head, I was like, shit. I'm fucking gay. But I never let it out.
Right.
I never, from that moment on, you call me gay, I talked about your mom. You call me that F word, I talked about you and your mom. Yep. I refused to be that. I was that strong that I married. I got married at 18 years old. I had a kid on the way.
Wow.
And I did everything that I thought that I was supposed to do to be right. You know what I mean? To match up to what the world said. I was supposed to be right size. So at 16 years old, I'm already smoking weed at 14. At 16, I want alcohol. My sister's like, no, we're not drinking at this party. And I'm like, yes, we are. And she's like, I'm not getting it for you. I got all the weed. She's like, by that time, it's already established. I smoke weed.
Yeah.
So she's like, you're not getting it. So I have a girlfriend named Tamika. And I said, Tamika, you know that guy, JR, he likes you. And it was my sister's boyfriend's older friend. I said, let's see if he'll take us to the store. And so he's driving an old school car. He takes us to the store. It's my birthday party. I'm turning 16. I have to have the alcohol. It's time. So I get to the store, and him and Tamika, I let her sit up front. Next thing I know, he's like asking Tamika, well, what do you want? I cut right in between them. I said, all of them. Every color Boone's Farm there is. I even got the money, And he's like, what? I was like, yeah, we want the Boone's Farm. Yeah. We got every color there was. We took it back to the house, and my sister's like going off. I told you. I said, don't worry about it. We're going to be good, and you know that you don't want to mess with me.
Right.
And so we drink. The next thing I know, the next day I call Tamika, and I'm always nicely dressed, K-Swiss. The next day I wake up laying on my sister's kid's floor and wouldn't vomit, shoes all jacked up, and the colors all of Boone's Farm. I didn't probably threw up all over them, but at the time I called Tamika and I said, Tamika, what did they do to me? She said, what do you mean? I said, I'm covered, like my clothes is all ruined, my shoes is scuffed, it's like all these different colors. She said, Jon, you cussed everybody out. You kept turning the lights on and off, cussed your sister out, cussed me out. They had to end the party. I said, what? I said, if you don't want to hang out with me, this has been my friend. By this time, we're in the 10th grade, and she's been my friend since, like, the 5th grade. First person I ever smoked with, everything. Like, we've done everything together. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I said, you don't have to make up stuff. If you don't want to hang out, that's fine. I hung up on her like, there's no way I acted like that. Of course you didn't. I'm too fly. I'm too sophisticated to have done that. What I can tell you is that I was a blackout drinker from the very start. So that's kind of like how my deal went. I drank, I black out. You tell me what happened. I might wake up with a couple bruises. I could wake up in someone else's house. It became a regular thing. As life progressed, I ended up, like I said, meeting a young lady, told her I was my older brother. She was 5 years older than me, kind of, just to hang out with her. So I thought the next thing I get her pregnant, and then I have to tell her. I'm in beauty school at the time, so she's think I'm an adult.
So you have to tell her, by the way, I'm actually, like, how old were you at this time?
I was 17.
You thought I was 22. Yeah. I'm actually 17. I'm also secretly gay. And
no, never told her I'm secretly gay.
Okay.
That never would come up until way later. So I'm 18 years old. I have a kid on the way. I have to tell my mom I'm graduating from high school with a child on the way. She lived up the street. As me and my friends were still partying and hanging out now, what they're doing is taking me to her apartment, like when I'm drunk, and walking me up these steps, and I'm falling back down, and they're like, and they knock on the door. She opened up the door, they push me in, and that's how I would be able to get away with drinking. I'm staying the night at a friend's house, but my mom's not knowing I'm staying the night at baby mama's house. We hid the pregnancy all the way up until she was showing. She's very small like me. Maybe about 4 or 5 months into it, it was like, we can't keep hiding you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I put the ultrasound on my mom's nightstand, and I ran off to school.
My next question was going to be, what was if there's this much fear? Because if you have, you said you're one of 8 kids or 9?
I'm the last of 10. I'm the 9th child. I'm the 10th child.
Yeah, so if you got 10 kids, you got to be able to.
Well, by this time, everybody's out of the house. My mom had me at 41. My oldest sister is 65 years old. Okay. I'm 45. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So the lineup is my sister in front of me passed away as a baby. So we're 2 years apart. The next one is 4 years. by the time I'm in the ninth grade, my older sister has graduated and off to college.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
The Mental Defectives Podcast is brought to you by Milligram's new EP, More Is Always Better. 6 electrifying tracks available on all streaming platforms. What was the reaction?
So my
How
mom
was
is
it?
just disappointed, very disappointed, because I'm the golden child. Like
Right.
I'm working, I'm going to beauty school. I'm about to go off to Morehouse College, do hair in Atlanta, and I didn't go. I stayed and got married and raised my son and continued to drink and party. So my kid's mom kind of got tired of that weekend hanging out, all that, and she's like, you know what, if this is what it's gonna be like, this is not like how dad behaves, because she had a dad there, I didn't. And she was just like, we don't have to be together. And I was kind of fearful of losing her. And there was this lady that was always telling me if I got like my car had broke down, she was saying she was leaving me. So I called this lady that was in church. Her name was Sister Overstreet. And she was like, you know what? You woke me up out of a diabetic coma. I'm going to come take you to church. And I was like, okay. She said, no, better yet, catch the bus there. I was like, oh, God. So I catch the bus to this church called Bible Way on the west side. And I'm there for a Tuesday Bible study. And I'm raised Catholic. I've never been to really apostolic church or anything like that. And they do the Bible study thing. And the next thing, the people's like, does anybody, want to be saved? And I'm thinking like, yeah, they're going to help me with, fix my car or give me a couple dollars or whatever. And he's like, I raised my hand. Yeah, I thought that they would help out. And that's why she brought me there. Mm-hmm. So at any rate, they had me change my clothes in the back and put me in this water. And it's like, just thank the Lord. I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus. And he's like, oh, you got the Holy Ghost. I'm like, yeah, okay. So, things did change for me. So I went back to the beauty salon I was working at. And like I said, I'm, at this time, I'm like 18 years old. And I stopped hanging out with the people that were smoking cigarettes out front, stopped smoking weed. I started hanging out with the lady next to me was in church. I joined the church. I get saved. I go on, marry my kid's mom. Life becomes good. I quit drinking.
Oh, wow.
Hanging out.
Damn.
Everything was perfect.
Okay.
Got the cars, got the house. Me and my kid's mom are doing great. I get into a car accident, and I secretly start smoking cigarettes again. That was the first thing that happened.
Really?
So I'm just smoking, leaving them in the car.
Uh-huh.
No big deal.
Yeah.
That's, just looking back on it was like, So
it's like the start of
This.
I know we were both thinking like you're car accident. I got prescribed
opiate.
Vicodin or Percocet.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like even something as small as a cigarette. It's like the behavior around it. Like I'm sneaking
Right.
around. I'm doing
Absolutely.
something. I'm
And it
buying,
was my comfort.
Like,
I started smoking cigarettes before anything. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Sure.
I'm smoking at the age of 14.
Yep.
So I started back smoking cigarettes. I'm going to church and, doing the thing. New Year's Eve comes up and I want to go hang out with my brothers and sisters. They all going to this place called the Neon. And I used to hang out there. And so I tell my, kid's mom, she's like, okay, that's fine. And my brother and sister's like, no, you're a Christian. You don't, need to go. I said, I can hang out and go. And so I went, and the next thing I know, they were like ordering drinks, and I was like, they order hurricanes, and I was like, I'll have one of those. And they was like, no, you're a Christian, you've been in church, you don't drink. I said, Jesus drank wine, it's good. So they give me the drink, I drink the hurricane. What I can tell you is that the next day I had to go back and get my car. My sister said I got her trampled. Like someone walked all over her. There was this big altercation I can't tell you anything about. And then my cousin said I lost her leather coat. Instantly, I became the problem again. And I'm like, how did all this happen? I'm serious, in that first night.
Yeah.
But it was on. And because now I have the car, I got the family, I got the job, I'm known as a hairstylist, and I'm, being a responsible dad. I deserve.
Checked all the boxes.
Yeah,
Now it's time
there
to
it
raise.
And I
is.
deserve the drink.
Let loose a little bit.
And I would manipulate my kid's mother, my wife, and say, hey, I married you too young. Remember, you went to college. You got the party. My peers, remember, I'm 19 years old.
Yeah.
They're hanging out.
Right.
They need me to hang
be
with
there.
them.
Yeah.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
can't miss out on my life. I've already married you. you know, and you get to be a stay-at-home mom. What black woman gets to do that in this day and age? So I'm just manipulating. I swear, that's what I'm telling you.
That's not bad. That's a good.
And I'm like,
I might fall for that.
I worked at the American Red Cross. That check went to her, and I did hair, and I did what I wanted to do with that money, and that's how that went.
Sure.
So we did well. Next time we have a kid, the youngest baby, my youngest son end up with sickle cell. That's just like a very painful disease. He was born with it. My first one got away with not having it. Me and my kid's mom have the what they call the trait. 2 traits means that 1 out of 4 chances of them having it. So he had it as a baby. I'm still providing. I'm doing what I need to do. During that time, he would sometimes spend the night in Children's Hospital. Because of my alcoholism had progressed, some nights he would be there, and I would have to walk down the planks to drink. And I would have to brush my teeth and pretend as if, and if it wasn't for me getting sober, I got away with that. No one knew about that. And I tell that because I have to remember how I operated while drinking. My son is laying up there in pain, in a pain crisis. My kid's mom is at home with my other child, and I'm supposed to be there with him through the night. And I couldn't even get through that night. And this is in my 20s.
Right.
And I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm thinking I did good because I made it back. Because I never made it back. When I normally drank, I never would make it back. Even if I knew I had to pick my kids up from school at 5 o'clock. If I started drinking at that bar 2 doors down from me at 5 o'clock, I'm making up a story as to why I can't get them. Oh, I got another hair client. Oh, something happened. Can you go pick up my kids? I had people that would go pick them up, or I had to have my kid's mom. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I never could tell you what was going to happen once I start drinking. Next thing I know, I'm becoming a drinker at after hours, which means those places open up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Right.
I'm getting off of work, drinking at the bar, going to drink at the after hours, leaving the after hours at 6 a.m. Got to get my kid to school. My kid's principal called and said, your husband was drunk when he brought your son to school. My kid's mom was furious. Ooh. And she's like, you're going to make us lose the kids. I'm not doing this with you. All this and that. So my argument is, I couldn't have been drunk. I stopped drinking at 6 o'clock in the morning. I took him to school at 9. You know what I'm saying? There's no way I would take my child.
You got 3 hour buffer window.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, or maybe I might have stopped drinking at 4, whatever. I timed it enough to know when I was drunk. It wasn't like I was on my way to school drinking a 40 ounce, dropping them off.
Right.
I wasn't that type of person. I was a good dad. I took him to school. Anyway. We can laugh today, but I was furious.
Right.
How dare that principal call my kid's mom, my wife, and tell her anything like that? Because, like I said, I stopped drinking at 4 o'clock in the morning. There's no way I was drunk. I brushed my teeth, everything. So anyway, we get into a physical altercation, and it's like we've never gotten to anything like that. She was like waiting for me, and we're rolling all around, and it's crazy, and she says, you know what, I can't do this. You always told me, if I leave you, the only way you'll let me leave if I cheat on you with another man. She says, I'm going to leave you and be with another man. And intuitively, I knew what to say. I said, well, if you're leaving me for another man, I'm leaving you too for another man. I had been hanging out at these after hours, and they were gay after hours. My aunt worked at this gay bar. And I would just kind of sit in there, and the men, they would talk to me. I'm like, no, I'm married. Some of the guys that I knew growing up or whatever, I never was involved with any of them, but I just would entertain the atmosphere. But I was like, whew, that felt good to say. And she said, what? And then we rolled around again. So the marriage, I was married until I was 25 years old. I was with her from the time I was 16, and I moved to Florida. I said, I'm going to move to Florida to wear half tops and flip flops. I'm going to be as gay as I want to be. I ain't got to answer to nobody in Columbus. I don't want to hear, I told you so's. You know what I'm saying? Because all my life I have been questioned. You know what I mean? And I did my best to make you guys wrong, make them wrong. See, I proved to you. I got kids. I got wife. I got this. I ain't never been a man out here that could ever say they were with me. I would just destroy you if you said that to me.
Hey, Mental Defectives.
Are you getting married?
If so, we can officiate your wedding for the low price of $500.
You have to be in Ohio.
Because Jerry and I are both licensed ministers in the state of Ohio. If interested, email us at mentaldefectivespodcast@gmail.com.
Now let's get back to the episode.
That's such like dedication. Like how,
For sure.
like
feel
that
like-
whole time you're married, like, and you're at the time you're saying like you know you're gay, but
Yeah.
you've got the white, but it never was like, oh, I can go to the after hours and like meet a guy or like a boyfriend on the side or anything. Like you were just able to like suppress that.
Yeah, I
or
liked
just,
I liked the attention, but I knew not to cheat because I didn't want that. You know what I mean? That was the thing. My marriage was something sacred to me.
Okay.
My kid's
Sure.
mom was a good
Yeah.
mom. I just, you know what I mean? That just kind of happened while I was drinking. I don't think if I was sober, I would have even went there. Because I just, you know what I mean? I didn't want to be that way. And the drinking and the using allowed my, ambitions to be lower to entertain that. Because
Sure.
sober, I was like, I'm going to, to me, it was a defective character. If you will, because it was like I knew it was something in me, but it didn't have to manifest. Like I didn't have to bring
You didn't have to let it out.
I didn't have to let it out.
Right.
And I was in control of that. And if you look at it, it was even, you think about the drinking. You know what I mean? I always thought I had some type of control over it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And the drinking showed me I didn't. But that thing there, I could control. And now even in life, there's a lot of things that I control. Like when it came to drinking coffee, like I wanted to quit drinking coffee. It started making me feel real icky. I was able to put it down. And I always think about that. Like if I had a cup of coffee, I feel icky. I put the cup down. I wouldn't go back and pick it up. When I drank alcohol, I started feeling icky. I could be queasy. The room can be spinning. And I know that I need not pick it up. Somehow my hand would automatically
Dude,
go
I
down.
get
And
that.
even in my brain, it's like, why are you doing this?
As you're doing it.
Yeah, until the blackout. Now, the blackout is just going to keep going because I don't know what's going on.
Right.
But when I had that rational thought to be like, what's about to happen next, and the hand pick it up. But with coffee, when I was like, like this is starting to make me feel racy. I don't know. I'm 45 now, and it just started treating me different.
Yeah.
So when I would put it down, and I always think about that, I had the ability, the power to put it down and not pick it back up.
Sure.
And then I had the ability to say, I'm going to try to, go without it. You know what I mean? But I never had that ability with alcohol. But with other things, I always had some type of control. So that's why it was so like eye-opening when I discovered that I had a drinking problem, and I was able to like read about it and see like all the characteristics that the things that I had tried to do to manage it, and it never would be under control. You know what I'm saying? So
Because they say we have like insane willpower for everything
else.
except concerning
But drinking.
alcohol.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it just
I got
like
chills when you said that. That's
it's
Yeah.
mind blowing to me
Yeah.
that like, because your sexuality is like an innate part of your being.
Right.
To
But
just
it
be like, nope,
tore-
I got that under lock
but
and key.
it tore me up because you have to think that's who I was.
Yeah.
That
Right.
was the core
Right.
me.
Right.
And I suppressed it. So when, like I said, go back to what that counselor said. Here I was sitting in his office thinking that I was just there for the drinking and using. I was drinking. I was there because I did not like who I was.
Yeah.
And I could not let that out. I could not be my authentic self.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
imagine not being who you were created to be.
Yeah.
In all your fabulosity. Whatever it is. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yellow, purple, green, whatever it is. Imagine you had to suppress one of your biggest assets. You know what I mean? So I
Right.
couldn't be the best John I could be. I
Yeah.
did. Now, mind you, everybody will tell you, I was who I was, but I never could own that. When you would question that, I had to lie to you. And I knew inside that was a lie.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the drinking and the using would help me to live with that lie. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So when I moved to Florida, now I'm going to do it. I don't want to hear from my mom. I don't want to hear from my kid's mom. I don't want to hear from brothers, sisters. I got one brother there. I'm about to do it up. I get my long nails, my half tops, my flip flops. I'm gay as I want to be because there's nobody there that knows me.
Yeah.
There's
Sure.
no expectations.
Right.
No one's like, oh my God, wow, look at you.
Yeah.
I told you, whatever.
Right.
So I moved to Jacksonville, Florida, And I started going out, hanging out with these, I'm about 25 then. I, levitate some Filipino girls, gorgeous. And those are my roommates. I'm blessed. And I move out of my brother's house and we start working for this buying company. And then, during the course of that time, those other people, I had gravitated to other, drugs that were like speeding me up because I kept falling asleep, I thought I was smoking the weed and drinking, and I didn't know it was blackouts. I didn't know it was blackouts until I got sober. Like, what those were really, like, moving around, your body's moving and your brain's not recording.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I heard that, I was like, oh, wow, that's exactly what was happening to me. But I thought it was the combination of the weed and the alcohol. So if I switched to the coke, I'm like, bling, yes, I'm moving.
Turn the lights back
on. Let's go.
Yeah, no one's going in my pockets. No one's trying to take, going to take me home tonight because I'm going to be up all night. You ain't going to, I'm not falling into all those situations because it's like this. I'm a go-go. Yeah. So, but what I didn't know was that when I wanted to shut it off, there wasn't no shut off for that either.
It was just an on switch.
And it was way more expensive than anything
no
I'd
doubt.
ever tried.
No doubt.
To even, so there was no manageability for that. But I loved it. I absolutely loved the effect that gave me. I felt stronger, smarter, wiser. I don't know. So it was just like this thing that I had to have at all times. And then I became very out with that. I was not a secret user. I was like, yes, this is what I do. You got any? Or do you want some? Whatever. You could. I'm not letting you in your own bathroom. This is my bathroom for the next 3 hours. Whatever it was, I was just an animal with it.
Yeah.
And so
I've definitely taken over a couple bathrooms at people's houses that I either barely knew, didn't know, some like random party, and it's like there's 25, 50 people here. There's 2 bathrooms. I've taken one over for 5 hours. Yeah.
So I was a bathroom bandit, and I loved it.
Bathroom bandit.
And so that's it. How when I moved to Florida, it just came to that. So what happened was my youngest son ended up getting really sick on his deathbed. His mom called me with the sickle cell thing and said, you need to get back to Columbus. Joe is really sick, double pneumonia. We don't know what's going to happen. I come back to Columbus, Ohio, a full-blown addict. Everybody's looking at me because now I'm writing checks. I'm not doing hair anymore. I'm boosting. I don't want to do hair. I don't want to, have time for that. I got to make this amount of money. I know what I'm doing. And they're looking at me like, what is wrong with you? And I'm looking at them like, what is wrong with you? Let me tear you apart. Okay.
Now, when you came back, did everybody know that you were out at that point?
At that point, it was like I came out sideways. I'm throwing it in your face.
Okay.
I'm out.
So
I'm
it's
flaming.
like when you
I'm
come
just
back,
like,
you're addicted and I'm gay.
Yeah. And I'm like, yep. And I'll take your man too. It was funny how when he did that introduction, that's exactly how I acted. Don't leave your man around me. True play for life. And that's how I behaved because I had to have some protection. Wasn't going to allow you to question me, hurt me.
Because you were probably coming back to a lot of like, I told you so.
Yeah,
I told you. I've been saying
Absolutely.
this for years kind of bullshit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then my mom is all like, what in the world? Why did you have these kids? And I'm like, I had them for you. She's like, bullshit. She's like, you're going to take care of these kids.
Right.
The one thing you're going to do is you're going to take care of these boys. But I was convinced I had them for her. I was convinced that I did all of this for you. And my mom's like, no. So any rate, my son gets better. My mom dies. At this point, we're not really on good terms because I'm not who she raised. She wouldn't let me come back home. I kind of mismanaged a lot. I mismanaged a lot of her money. It's hard for me to say that. I mismanaged her money. She cut me out of the will. Took the power of attorney, everything away. My mom was a paralegal attorney, so I handled a lot of her business. And if you handled Marguerite's business, that was something big because she didn't trust anybody. You know what I'm saying? So she turned everything over to my older brother. That became a resentment, my biggest resentment.
Sure.
when my mom died, I couldn't take it. I moved back to Florida again. And Joe was better. I needed to get back there. Need to do it up. I went back, did it up again. Joe got sick again. I'm like, Lord, I gotta take care of these kids. So I said, my mom's hunting me. Like, what is she gonna? Like, I really have to take care of these kids.
Yeah.
So I come back again. I'm still fully addicted. I'm just working, staying at people's houses, living on the couches, pissing on the couches, just a mess. And people were just like, dang, what happened to you? And by this time, I'm about 30. And, my last run, I got paid. I was supposed to go meet with the family for Thanksgiving. I got paid on the Tuesday. I said, I'll make a little stop. Put the rest of the money in the glove compartment. I borrowed my friend's car to go to work. And then I'm just going to do whatever. And then I run into old Casanova, who's going to make me rich. He's going to flip the money. He's going to flip it. I'm like, sure, that means double. I can do this and for free? Okay.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, it's Friday. I have sold everything in that car. I'm on Mount Vernon and 20th, Broad and 20th, Champion, all the places that I used to ride by and smoke my little cigarette and be like, they need to get it together. And that's where, I flipped out on that guy. And because he was like, we're going to have to panhandle and tell him that the car broke down and we need gas. I was like, do you know who I am? Now, wait a minute. I scheme, scam, steal, do this and that. I said, but I'm not a beggar. I'm like, if I have to beg for money and face people and my life has come to this, I'm going to throw myself in the traffic. I can't take it. And I'm like flipping out. And he's like, let me get you another bump, and got me a 211. And then he walked me politely from Broad and 20th to Net Care. When I got to Net Care, he said, tell them what. I said, I am tired. I said, I can't take this. I said, I feel like I need to just like, and I was going to throw myself in the traffic. And the people was just like, okay. And what I realized is he was trying to get me pink slip, but they didn't. They sent me to the engagement center. Now, I've never been to Maryhaven, never been to engagement center, nothing like that. Most time, if I thank God for opening my eyes and allowing me to be humble enough to be there. Because when I got there, it was the day after Thanksgiving. I had nothing. And the man was like, if you stay here, we can get you into Maryhaven. And I was like, that was this place I would call when I get too buzzed. And I'm like, yeah, I want to get, help. And then they call me back. And I'm like, honey, that was somebody else. Wrong number. And, You
got the wrong John.
Right, exactly. And so I stayed that weekend. And then they took me to detox on Monday.
Wow.
And then I ran into the fellowship. And just, opened my eyes to, like, listening to people who did similar things, if not worse, and they were able to get some redemption by following some steps and doing some work and just sticking around some people that were doing some different stuff. By the time that had happened, I had burnt so many bridges, nobody wanted to be around me anyway.
Right.
So I took a break and stayed in detox. Then the next thing, they were like, hey, you want to go over to the Paul Coleman? And I was like, sure, I ain't got nowhere to go. And there was a guy there before I left. He said, you might want to go to the place called the House of Hope. Because I was thinking about going to a faith-based place. And he was like, you got too much guilt and shame on you. And normally I would have told him, like, you do not know me, mind your business. But by listening to the people that were coming in, they was like, take suggestions, keep an open mind. Your next right move is going to come from others, not from your own thinking.
Sure.
And I said, okay. So I went on, got an assessment at the House of Hope, went in there 6 months, and that's where, things started to change. Started hanging out, going to meetings, meeting sober people that were fabulous, having fun, going to roundups, staying up late at night, campfires, volleyball, Yeah, it was amazing. And the people, they were my kind of people. They just wanted to have fun, and they wanted to have fun without using and drinking.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if that was possible, but the more and more I watched them and the longer and longer I stayed around and saw it was real, because these people were really sober. I never really questioned it, but in the back of my mind, I was like, how are they going to have fun and do that without drinking?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Well, and the community is such a big part, at least it was for me in the beginning, much like yourself, seeing that people can actually go and do stuff and have fun without anything.
Right.
Like, I always had to be drunk, or I always had to be on something to enjoy whatever I was doing.
Absolutely.
But they're out there, you know, like you said, playing volleyball, going canoeing, or camping, you know.
And inviting me.
Right, yeah.
Including me.
Yeah.
And my special self.
Right.
Because even still, you know, I don't look like everybody. I'm not with everybody, but being at that treatment center, I went to my first gay pride, and that was part of my treatment.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
I used to be like, what are they proud about? What I had to tell my counselor that. He's like, well, why haven't you never? I said, because I never understood. Why are they proud? Like, they're going to hell. Like, I was so.
Oh, so you were still. So when did this? I don't want to say like switch get flipped, but like.
Well, I was in treatment, and I had to start going to. He said, you need to go to gay meetings. I said, I didn't go to gay bars. I went to straight bars. He said, you have to go to at least one gay meeting a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I started going to gay meetings, LGBTQ meetings.
Yeah.
And I went there, and I started seeing people that were telling their story, but all their life they had lived their truth. And I started saying, well, that is something to be proud of. You know what I mean? They went through the scrutiny. They went through the mom not liking them. They was put out or whatever.
Yeah.
Or the acceptance, whatever it was.
Yeah.
They had the courage from a young child to say, hey, this is who I am. Whether you like it or not, mom or dad, auntie, grandma, this is who I am. So that sense of pride comes because they, you know, you had to struggle to get out of that closet.
Sure.
And so when I started writing on the mirror, I had to write, I love myself. I'm accepting of myself. And my counselor said, which John are you going to be? He said, because you can't keep toggling back and forth. And he said, when you go to carry your message, you're going to have to tell them. He said, you don't get to go back in. He said, because if you go back in, you'll drink again. And, you know, and he was afraid to counsel me. Afterwards, you know, as we gotten older, he said, I didn't know what to do with you. He said, I'd never seen anything like that. And he said, I thought I was going to have to, because he wasn't gay. He was like, how do I do this? And he said, you taught me so much.
That's awesome.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And,
That's awesome.
And I said, well, thank you, because it seemed like you had every, you know, solution. You know what I'm saying? And all it was, if you don't be true to yourself, you're going to drink again. And so if you think about that coin, to thy own self be true.
Yep.
If we're not true to our real authentic self, we're bound to drink again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
And so I went to my first gay pride, me and Stephanie.
Nice.
And she took her son, and she took me. And I dyed my hair blonde in treatment. I had to do something. And it was platinum. And I went and I walked around, and it was awkward. And I saw the people with all this pride. And that started every year since I've been sober. I've gone to Pride. I go out of town. Me and my boyfriend, we go everywhere. We've been to, like, I think at least 6 different states.
That's awesome.
But always do Columbus Pride. It started the ball rolling, and you know what I mean, I'm grateful that I have a sense of pride. You know what I mean?
For
because
sure.
of the fact that I love who I am. This is my authentic self, and I'm accepting of my authentic self. It don't get no better than that.
Yeah, I mean, that's where
The freedom.
the freedom, right. So tell us a little bit about hair and how that has morphed into what it is now.
Okay, so let me just start out with, I ended up working in treatment as a counselor assistant. I started being a counselor assistant a year after I came out of treatment.
Okay.
Started out as the lead person for the House of Hope. Did that for 6 years. In between that time, people kept coming up to me as I'm going places, and I was really well known. And they was like, Jon, hey, it's so good to see you, looking good. And what are you doing here? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't do hair anymore. And I was afraid that if I started back doing hair, that I would use again. I was afraid of the money. I was afraid of the lifestyle.
Sure.
And so 3 years into my recovery, I mean, everywhere I went, it just kept knocking at me. And the guy that I was dating at that time, he said, you know, why are you, you know, struggling, going to school and struggling to pay your child support? And these people keep asking you to do their hair. And I'm like, because I don't want to do hair. I'm like, I can't. I said, my license is in escrow. He's like, well, how much is it? And I was like, $700. He said, well, what if I invest in you and let's just see what happens? And I was like, I really don't take money from people. I had been with him about 2 years. And, you know, I talked to my sponsor. He said, well, if the guy wants to, you know, invest in you, you plan on paying him back, right? I was like, well, yeah, I have to. Because by that time I had made many amends and, you know, I'm just trying to do everything the right way. Yeah. So he loans me the money. I go renew the license. They come back like in a week. I do all the testing. I get them in a week, which I was shocked. They put them in my hands. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got this license back. And I'm still working at the place. And I'm like, well, what do I do? I said, how do I go back to doing hair? They said, well, you just take what you learned in recovery and you take it there. I was like, so that means I can't price gouge. I can't show up late. I can't act like I'm the grand diva.
I can't leave halfway through, knock back a few drinks and then come back.
Yeah, or act like I'm the gift. Because when you, this ego.
Sure.
When it just, and your clients will pump you up to believe that. Like you're this great person. You know what I'm saying? And so what I had to do was show up on time. Same thing that the program taught me. Show up on time. Be kind to people. Don't change my prices just because my bills are a little higher this week. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, if a person has a problem with me, listen to them. And because I could be the problem. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the end all be all. So with doing that, I came back to the shop. Within the first week I worked in that salon, I was able to pay him back his money. I made like $1,500.
Wow,
my first week in return, and I was calling people. I did this big old thing. When I started getting on Facebook, saying "Good morning, beautiful," and just started promoting myself like crazy. And my girlfriend and her sister, it was just us to start back out because they were already in her salon, and then she made me her salon manager, and I got so big I quit college. I was going to school to be a kindergarten teacher. Okay. I was working in drug and alcohol at the House of Hope. I ended up having to switch that around and do that part-time. And then I went on to work at Mary Haven. And now I'm a counselor there in their outpatient. Okay. So I still do that part-time.
Awesome.
Full-time as the salon manager at my best friend's shop. And I've been doing that. I've been there 10 years.
What's the name of the shop and where's it located?
Gemelo's Hair Gallery.
Okay.
It's on James Road in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, okay. 52 nice. South James Road. Yeah.
Check them out.
Yeah, shout out to Gemelo's.
How does someone book with you?
They can book online, Style Seat, or they can just inbox me on Facebook, Jon Stylez Lunsford. Yeah, or Jon Stylez on Style Seat.
Okay. Cool. What's like your hair specialty?
Hair care. Hair care and education. Yeah. Yeah, I educate my clients on the ins and out of taking care of their hair, working with different textures and types, and, you know, how to keep it healthy and growing.
I need to send
I deal with a lot of clients that suffer from alopecia. And alopecia is a situation where it's not coming back.
Right.
I am able to create styles with them that look like it is their hair. It's not the Bosley or anything like a hair transplant, but it does give them the confidence. And it's nothing, you know, that brings me more satisfaction to see someone broken. And then you're able to give them, you know, the confidence to get back out there just because of a hairstyle.
Oh, yeah.
What a fulfilling deal.
Yeah. It's been my love. I've been doing hair since I was 10 years old.
Right.
Yeah. I've always seen hair. Yeah. So to be able to get that gift back, I even think about like what drugs and alcohol took from me. You know what I mean? And it took that away from me. And I was in belief that that was gone. And I didn't think that that was ever coming back. I always worked regular jobs. I made good money, telemarketing, bill collecting. That was not a problem for me to find employment that I can still make a decent amount of money from. I would do sales, anything that can generate. I was never really a 9 to 5. You couldn't really put me in a box type money type person. Sure. So to go back to doing hair and to have the love of my old customers plus the new ones, and to be able to create a lifestyle for myself built off what I love has been a huge gift.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
super awesome.
And so it's a salon. So do you have like men's haircut? Like what are Jerry and I doing wrong? What are Jerry and I doing wrong with our haircuts? I'm working with a limited amount of hair. I will be making an appointment with you in 5 to 10 years when I've got more of an issue going on here.
Yeah.
So I do a high tempo fade, and then do like a 1 or 1.5 or 2 like on the sides.
Yeah. Both of your hair looks good. Yep. Yeah, you're growing out a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, I need a
Yeah,
cut.
you're growing out a little bit.
So
but
my
you
hair
can-
used to be down to here.
That's why. Okay,
So
okay. Now I know exactly who you are.
Yeah, so we're going to talk after this.
Then right before we filmed the first episode, he shows up, cuts all of it,
cut
and
it
I'm like,
all
what the
off.
fuck?
Yeah. So what happened with that? What was your thought process?
Well, I've been thinking about it for a minute, and like you said, hair care, I didn't take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
I would shampoo it, condition it, all that stuff, but I'd blow dry it all the time. I just did not take care of my hair, and I wouldn't cut the dead ends off.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't comb it enough.
Yeah.
It was a lot to handle.
Yeah.
So one of my buddies, he's a barber, and he put on Instagram that he had an opening that day, and I just did it. I just
Wow.
made a
Yeah.
split, and I had long hair ever since I got sober at the House
Yeah.
of Hope, and that was about 5 years of long hair,
Wow.
and I just was like, do it up. So we
did
went
you
out
get
and
the
did-
sense of freedom?
a
when
little
you cut
bit,
it, or did you have more anxiety about I miss it?
Well, I had been thinking about it for a while, so when I did it, it was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is fine. If I want long hair again, I'll just grow it back out.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now my showers go a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
And- but I did come home and my wife was like, "Oh my God, who are you?"
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 'cause-
Yeah.
Now, John,
But-
I use a 26-in-1 face wash, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and grease stain remover.
Yeah.
Is that good or bad?
I have no idea what that is.
What do
Okay,
you think
we'll
about
move on from that.
mane and tail?
Mane and tail.
Mane and tail.
Yeah, it makes your hair thicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really, tell me what that is.
No, I'm just.
I was about to say, no, wait a minute. Yeah, I was about to say, now I'm
That's always
on
the running
loop.
joke. It's like straight men just grab like a 19-in-1 body wash. You know, you can
Well,
brush your
yeah.
teeth with it and change your oil like all with one thing. Like,
Right.
Yeah. I just think that if you're a hair
Sam
person,
stressed you out
you're
with
no.
this.
If you're a hair person, you're a hair person.
Right.
And you know, like my clients, they're hair women. They come in weekly, sometimes twice a week. I'm like, you do not have to do this, but thank you.
Yeah.
You know, and
Sure.
and then to hear they're like, they've been doing it so long that it just becomes part of their nature. Like my one client's like, I don't even own shampoo. Because she comes in once a week and get her hair
and get-
shampooed.
Wow.
She doesn't have to shampoo her hair.
yeah.
She
Wow.
doesn't even have to think about how she's going to wear it.
You do it.
I do it. And yeah. So I guess there's some convenience to that. My hair, I get my hair cut once a week. I go to my same barber for the last 8 years, and he cuts me at 6 o'clock in the morning once a week. Pay $40 and I'm good to go. I see my braider every 2 months. I wash my hair once a week, and yeah, I'm a hair person. You know what I mean? It's
Awesome.
like when I decided to come back to doing hair, I said I have to have a look. You know what I mean? I said, you know, I want a brand, because I knew that's what was coming. I was watching social media. I was
Yep.
seeing these people, they had a look about themselves. And I said, you know, I'm going to be Jon Stylez.
Love it.
And I said, you know, I'm going to be known for this curly hair, side ponytail deal. So even when I did my cartoon thing, it worked for me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, and I'm so pleased with it. And I'm 45 and I still got hair. You know what I'm saying? It's not as thick as it used to be, and it's pretty long. But I still add my extensions to it because I like a big hair. Like when I go to see my braiders, I'm like, I want Shaka Khan. Don't give me Whitney Houston. Give me Shaka Khan.
Are you sitting in that chair for like 4 hours?
Yes. Wait, it's funny that you would know that because most people, it's supposed to be 8. Yeah. But I have two braiders.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you're going all out.
Damn.
Yeah, they're nice enough to come in.
One of my old office.
That's so funny.
One of my old office jobs. One of my groups of friends there, group of very fashionable and classy black ladies, and we would eat lunch together all the time and bullshit and kick it, and they were great. But as soon as one of them, all it would take is one person being like, you know, I think I might dye my hair the next week or two, and I'm like, all right, I'm done, and I go back to my desk because I knew that was going to kick off an hour and a half discussion on hair and braids and cut and color, and I couldn't get down with it.
Hey, Mental Defectives, would you like to advertise on our podcast?
If so, email us at mentaldefectivespodcast@gmail.com so we can help you make a lot of money.
Now let's get back to the episode.
All right. It pains me that I don't think this is going to air by June of 24, but you've got a big event going on.
Oh yeah.
In June of 24. What is this big event?
It is the Who's the Fairest of Them All hair ball. So our mentor, me and my best friend have been friends since high school. We met at 16. We got our hair license at 18. We graduated at the same time. And when we started doing hair, we started working in her sister's salon, she owned one of the biggest salons on Cleveland Avenue. It was called Focus on You. And it had 20 stylists, 10 barbers. And it was huge. And I call her sister the P. Diddy of hair because she was the hit maker. She had stylists.
I don't know if we should call her the P. Diddy.
Well,
the Diddy.
That is so bad.
Yeah. We'll go with it.
We're all that. Yeah, you're so right. So she would, allegedly.
Yeah.
So, but what I called her was the hit maker.
There we go.
You were able to go into her salon, build a clientele, and walk out of that salon and open your own salon. So that means you had to have a ton of clients, a ton of confidence, and her salon still stayed standing. And I can name 10 people that are still working today in their own salons that started out in her salon. Awesome. So her sister LaWanda Sanders was a person in recovery, and she had got sober. She had fallen down, gotten back up, and everybody loved it. It was like to see her back on top was great. And when we reconnected, when I got sober, she was sober, and she's the one who told me to come back and work at her sister's shop. And so we all started working together, doing really well, and we're doing all this big stuff. And LaWanda relapsed. She relapsed, and then we were very, very heartbroken. But that lasted about a year and a half. She ended up getting back sober. She came, went to treatment, got herself back together, moved into her apartment, was doing great. We were, hanging out again. And then out of nowhere, she suffered from a blood clot in her lung and collapsed, and her daughter found her in her apartment. But what the great thing was, she died sober. And she did what she was supposed to do. And so that happened in October. We decided to do something as a memorial to her. So we created the Who's the Fairest of Them All hair ball, which is going to raise awareness for substance abuse. We'll have people passing out Narcan there. Nice. We'll have someone speaking there in regards to it. 14 acts that's going to participate in this hair showcase. We're going to be giving awards to the legendary hairstylists that have come before us. And we got big choirs that's going to perform. All types of stuff. Skaters. It's going to be crazy. Bananas. So we're about 30 days away from that opening on June 30th. And we got the Lincoln Theater. So, yeah, we're super excited about that.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
And then what advice would you have for someone looking to get into hair?
Well,
they want to be a hairstylist, barber, whatever.
I just think that if it's something that you're passionate about, just stick with it. Go to school. I went while I was in high school. I didn't have anything better to do. So if you're an adult, life is lifing. I hear that a lot from people. Just stick with it. let your passion guide you. And hair is something that is just like, it will take over everything if you let it, because people love their hair and they love someone who loves their hair. And I think that's why my clients love me, because I love their hair. And then once I get to know them, I love them. And when I can say, you know what, I love you. I've watched your kids grow up. I've done some families, I think I've had 5 generations. So that means
Wow.
Damn.
I've done the grandmother, the great grandmother, the grandmother, the daughter, the daughter's daughter.
That's
I'm
cool.
that old.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you're that good.
Yeah, right.
That's the intangible. I look for that with anyone I work with is, are you technically proficient? Do you know what you're talking about? But also, do you give a shit? And that's this like intangible factor that is invaluable. I mean, you could be the best like stylist, mechanic, whatever it is, but if you don't give a fuck, what are we even doing here?
Well, and it's the passion too, right? I know an electrician buddy of mine who loves his craft. He just loves talking about the things that he's doing and doing it. He just loves electricity. But he's the one that I want to wire my house because he's passionate about his craft.
Absolutely.
You're obviously very passionate about hair. You love their hair. You love your hair. You're a hair guy.
I'm gifted. I've been given a gift to have 2 jobs that I absolutely love. I don't ever feel like I'm going to work on neither one of them. When I'm going into the treatment center, it's like I'm going home. When I'm going into the beauty salon, it's like I'm going home. When I'm at my real home, I don't feel at home. I do. It's my sanctuary. But those places really make me feel like, this is where I need to be.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what advice would you have for somebody who's maybe struggling with their sexuality and trying to get sober? I know that's a unique thing that you've been through, right?
Yeah.
And do you think there's more of that? I feel like I see like a larger representation of LGBT people in meetings, and I always wonder if part of that is like the added societal or family or religious pressure to like constrain part of their life. Do you think that ties into like addiction?
Absolutely. I think it's I was at a meeting yesterday, and it's just to allude to the fact that just not feeling enough, not measuring up. I think everybody who struggled has felt that feeling. I just didn't match what other people are, and just not having, it's that hole.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether it's from not being accepted in society from being LGBTQ, or not being accepted in society because of your race or ethnicity, or you're big, you're small. There was a man that was standing up there speaking, and he said, "I'm bucktooth. I always thought I'm bucktooth." That's all I kept hearing. Someone put that in my head. So whenever you were talking to me, I'm like, I'm bucktooth. And he said that created this hole in me. This other woman said I was too big. Another woman said I wasn't big enough. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's the not self-acceptance. Like, as a person in recovery, I feel like I didn't accept myself. And I feel other people were not accepting of themselves, no matter where they were. Whether you didn't have enough money, whether you didn't have enough talent, whether you didn't have enough looks, whatever it was, there was something about us that just didn't match up to what we were looking outside. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, with LGBTQ, a lot of that's going to be, I wasn't accepted. You know what I mean? No one in my family. I didn't have one gay uncle.
Right.
I even thought about it. Looking when I was 9 years old, I didn't know. Even if I wanted to, I didn't have a guy that was going to give me direction on how to live this lifestyle.
Right.
I still don't. But what
Seems like you've got it figured out at this point.
But there's still a lot of things that I don't know, and those are things that I don't participate in. You know what I'm saying? But I'm there for my family. You know what I mean? I have 2 sons, and when I had to come to them and talk to them, I remember they were 11 and 7, and I had to tell them, hey, I'm gay. And it was like, well, Dad, we kind of heard that. And I said, but, this isn't something that is going to affect your life and our relationship. But unless you are too. So I asked my 11-year-old and said, hey, are either one of you guys gay, or do you feel like there's some possibility? They're, oh, no. I said, well, if there ever is, I'm here for you. And so I said, I'm open to any conversation that you want to have about that. But if not, then we can have the conversation in relationship to women, because I have experience on both. I'm your dad. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so I was grateful for that, but I was grateful I got that conversation. And that was because of my sponsor and, you know, him telling me like, hey, you have to have this conversation with your kids. This is part of the amends to them, because I was running from them. Because a part of that was like, who wants a gay dad? That was in my brain.
Sure.
That was fueling me being out there and destroying myself, because I wasn't going to measure up to be a good parent.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
But 13 years later, I've raised my kids. I have a grandson who's 4 years old, who I'm actively in his life. I have a 27-year-old son who I'm praying for right now. And I have my baby son who lives with me. You know, he survived brain cancer last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
They removed it, pulled the tumor out, got everything out. He still has a sickle cell. We're working on now maybe having a bone marrow transplant where he could be cured.
Wow.
So, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So many miracles
Yeah.
have happened in my life, and I've been able to be present for them all, you know, due to the fact that I'm staying sober.
Right.
So it's like me, I'm just excited to see what's going to happen next. So it's also like my motivation for staying sober. And I tell other people, like, you know, you might start out with absolutely nothing, but you stay sober long enough, you'll see your wildest dreams come true. I can guarantee you that.
We got to end on that.
I
That was
agree with
fire.
that. That was
fire.
fucking perfect.
This might have been the best episode we've done.
Dude, that's what I was thinking that just a second ago. Yeah, for real.
All right, it's Mr. Jon Stylez, Milligram, Jerry with G, Mental Defectives Podcast. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
Thanks, guys.
Ooh, I just
Oh.
learned something.